Good afternoon, I'm Jacqueline Felgate. It is 4 o'clock and these are our top stories. Closed for business and historic shutdown of entire industries as Melbourne sacrifices livelihoods to save lives. Supermarkets remain open but other shops will shut. We'll have a list of who's considered essential. Relief for the construction sector with work to continue on most projects. Also exercising our rights under stage 4, how Melbourne is coping with tougher restrictions at home. A doctor's dire warning for parents with proof kids are at risk from coronavirus. And the rush to get food back on the shelves amid another bout of panic buying.
This is 7's Afternoon News with Jacqueline Felgate.
First at 4, thousands of Victorian businesses will close under historic stage 4 restrictions that will cost jobs and devastate the economy. Only essential industries will be allowed to remain open under sweeping new laws announced on a day Victoria recorded 429 cases and 13 deaths. Daniel Andrews says the severe measures are the only way we can stop the virus spreading through workplaces. Here's what the Premier had to say a short time ago.
The curfew today is about workplaces, and as heartbreaking as it is to close down places of employment, and whilst I never thought that I would be telling people not to go to work, that is what we have to do in order to stop the spread of this wildly infectious virus, this deadly virus. But there are a number of other industries and sectors that will need to close for that 6-week period. From 11:59 p.m. this Wednesday, retail will close, some manufacturing will close, some admin will close. These businesses, unless they have specific requirements to safely shut down on a slightly longer timeline, they will have to close by 11:59 on Wednesday night. In terms of the third category of businesses that will have to scale back the way in which they work, they will remain open, but they will look very different. Firstly, meatworks. We know that meatworks are a really significant challenge for us. Whether it be lamb, poultry, or beef, they will move to 2/3 production, so they will reduce their production by 1/3, and those workplaces will look very different. There will be some of the most stringent safety protocols that have ever been put in place in any industrial setting. Those workers will be essentially dressed as if they were a health worker, but given the critical part in keeping Victorians fed and indeed the nation fed, given that so much activity hubs out of Victoria, particularly given the drought and other challenges in other parts of the country, it is not possible to go below that 2/3 level. I can't guarantee that every single product at exactly the volumes that you might like to buy will be there, but there will be enough for people to get what they need.
The retail sector is facing unprecedented upheaval. The only businesses that remain open are supermarkets and grocery stores, liquor stores, service stations, pharmacies and post offices. All other shops will have to close, including department stores like Kmart. Bunnings will only be open to tradies.
But retail will look very different than it has ever looked. And that's critically important to have many, many people at home rather than at work and moving to and from work each and every day.
A staggering number of Victorians will be at home during the stage 4 lockdown to stop the spread of the virus.
Around 250,000. So just to put that into some context, and this speaks directly to why these changes are so important. We estimate we've got about 500,000 people who are working from home. We know that there's about 250,000 people that have been stood down in one form or another, and this will add a further 250,000 in rough numbers. We'll get a clearer sense of that as the week unfolds. But that is essentially 1 million workers who are not travelling to and from work every day. When you add in 1 million students together with teachers and staff, that's when you are radically, dramatically changing the number of people moving around the community and therefore the number of points at which the virus can be transmitted from one person to another. And again, it directly relates to those mystery cases, those community transmission cases where we just can't determine where the person got it and in what circumstances.
As well as new business rules, Melburnians are coming to terms with stage 4 restrictions at home. For many, the biggest adjustment today has been the strict limit on exercise and shopping. Cassie Zervos has more.
Well, it's Monday afternoon in Melbourne CBD and it's usually busy with people, but today there's hardly anyone inside. It is day one of stage 4 restrictions and it seems Melburnians are quickly adjusting. From the tan running track to Port Melbourne Beach and Albert Park Lake, some were making the most of their 1 hour exercise limit.
Well, we can only go within 5Ks now, so that's all we can do.
We've come down Lonsdale Street to South Bank, which is 4.2 Ks from our place, then along the back home. So we'll stay under the 5K radius.
My biggest and my wife, we can't see our grandkids with kids. That's the worst thing for us by a long shot.
These best friends are from Perth but remain stranded in Melbourne.
I'm just in South Yarra, like 2 Ks, 3 Ks away. So I've been lucky the 5K bubble doesn't affect me too much. I mean, the exercise will be a struggle. Only so many boredom walks a girl can do.
I moved over here in March, just at the start of COVID, and I haven't been able to get a job because of COVID, so I'm trying to get home, but WA is not really accepting us at the moment.
Premier Daniel Andrews has banned weddings in metropolitan Melbourne from Thursday. So in a mad rush, this couple decided to not wait any longer. They'll be tying the knot on Wednesday afternoon.
It's definitely been a stressful time to try to do it in 3 days. Try planning a wedding in 3 days.
It's like the fourth wedding we've planned. Yeah. We just said, well, we're going to get on with our lives. I guess everyone keeps saying this thing of COVID normal, and we thought we're not going to worry about postponing our lives. We'll just get on with it.
In the last 24 hours, police have issued 172 fines. 27 of those were for people who weren't wearing a face mask.
Long-time adversaries, the union movement and big business have joined forces to demand the federal government pay for Australians with COVID systems to take away from work. Political correspondent Tim Lester is live from Canberra. Tim, paid pandemic leave is looking more likely by the day.
It is, Jackie. In fact, it was the government that brought the old foes, the union movement and business groups, into the same room to negotiate workplace reform. Well, they've had an early success of sorts. The ACTU and the Business Council of Australia have written a joint letter to the Attorney-General calling for federally funded paid pandemic leave. Premier Andrews has already estimated that up to 80% of Victoria's COVID infections are happening in the workplace. As well, with casuals, more than 1/3 of Australia's workforce has no sick leave, no way to be paid if they stay at home with their symptoms.
No one should be, the key principle is this, no one should be in a circumstance whereby they are going to work because they don't feel like they have an option.
What we will do, and the Attorney-General has this underway, is consultation with the key stakeholders to work through these issues.
We've got to be cautious about how much further money we borrow. Pandemic payments would be great, but you're limited.
Some people just don't have the means to stay at home from work, so there's got to be some form of assistance.
And Tim, we do expect the Prime Minister to speak shortly. Is he likely to address this leave issue?
Yes, Jackie, it's likely he'll touch on this tomorrow, assuming he's questioned on it, though he has already given an important view. Initially, he waved off talk of a paid pandemic leave, perhaps worried about hundreds of millions of dollars in extra costs. But when we expect him to talk tomorrow, if he's questioned, he'll likely confirm that the federal government is actually assessing the possibility of a scheme. Jackie?
Tim Lester, thank you. Working from home is set to become even more difficult for parents of young children, with thousands now denied access to childcare. They'll have to juggle their kids and their jobs, with centres only catering to essential workers. Estelle Greepink has more.
Well, it's been a sleepless night for many Victorian parents who have been left wondering if they'll be able to continue sending their kids to childcare under these new stage 4 restrictions.
It's going to be pretty difficult. It's going to be a bit of a transition. They can't really study or take care of themselves.
My wife and I work both full time, so managing this little one during the week will be a challenge, but it is what it is.
The biggest question on parents' lips, who is an essential worker and can therefore continue sending their kids to childcare.
Well, we don't know what the definition of essential worker is.
I work in banking, so I'm not too sure whether that's going to be considered an essential service or whether I have to keep them at home.
There's a bit of confusion, not quite sure yet, so I think we're waiting on some announcements in the next day or two.
Today is also the last day of classes on campus for VCE students. They'll now be going back to remote learning.
Oh, it's a very different year for all of us. But I admire these young people who are so resilient. They'll cope well, but it's going to be a significant challenge for each of them.
Year 12 students at St Monica's in Epping say they feel both anxious but optimistic about the weeks ahead.
We're just there for each other because we're all going through the same thing. We're always in contact with one another and we're always raising each other's spirits.
We're currently in the situation that we are just because that's how it is, and we've got to work together as a community to get through it.
Some Victorian students will continue going to school and attending classes with their teachers, but Daniel Andrews says those exemptions are rare.
Hundreds of Woolworths staff have walked off the job in fear of their safety. Employees at the Laverton Distribution Centre are taking legal action against the supermarket giant, claiming it's not doing enough to keep them safe. It comes after a worker tested positive to COVID-19 on Friday. The facility provides alcohol to Dan Murphy's and BWS stores across the state. Shelves have remained bare as supermarkets try to deal with another round of panic buying. Spike Johnson reports new product limits are back in force to stop shoppers getting carried away.
Panic buying, it seems, was just a blip yesterday. In supermarket aisles across Melbourne, it was much calmer today, but the major supermarkets are still dealing with an issue in meat supply. We spotted empty cold storage shelves from the east to the west of our city. Coles says there are two reasons for this: a slight disruption in supply chain from abattoirs affected by COVID-19 and people buying up big at the weekend after hearing about those abattoirs.
Very, very large demand over the weekend has left the shelves lighter than usual. That's why we put restrictions on chicken breasts, chicken thighs and mince.
Like someone who'd normally spend $50 would come in and buy $1,000 worth of meat.
Coles is now bringing in extra meat from interstate, mostly New South Wales, to keep up with demand. The company has also upgraded many of its hygiene processes at its distribution centres.
No carpooling, so team members come in their car alone. We make sure that when they come into the site, they're temperature checked, they have access to all the right PPE, face masks, hand sanitizer, and they don't cross over on different shifts.
From today, we can only shop once a day and solo. At this stage, there seems little need for policing this. Woolworths is converting 3 stores into online delivery hubs. Dandenong Plaza, Water Garden South and Mountain Gate will close to customers tomorrow to serve purely online orders.
South Australia will tighten COVID restrictions to prevent the state's own second wave. From midnight tomorrow, home gatherings will be limited to 10 guests, while pubs and restaurants will be sit-down only. Crowd numbers at Adelaide Oval will likely be slashed from 25,000 to 10,000.
We will continue to act swiftly, to trust the experts and keep ahead of the game.
South Australia recorded 2 new cases overnight, bringing the total number of active cases to 8. For some businesses who've been battling to stay afloat, stage 4 restrictions could be the final straw. We'll have an expert's view on the new rules after the break. Also, lives saved thanks to an act of bravery. And why defiant passengers caused a mid-flight melee. We're back soon across Victoria, South Australia and Tasmania.
I do like it.
I like you back.
One farmer is about to have his heart broken.
It's true that. She just betrayed me. Hopefully get to the bottom of it tonight and we'll go from there.
New farmer wants a wife. Tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Tired of cleansers that leave skin dull? The power of micellar with the glow of rosewater. New Garnier Micellar Rosewater Cleanser. Micelles lift dirt like a magnet. In one swipe removes makeup and reveals the glow. New Micellar Rosewater by Garnier. Naturally.
For over 120 years, lotteries have given us plenty to celebrate. As well as making millions of winners, lotteries have made a big difference to Australia, like building a landmark, funding hospitals, and supporting Australians through natural disasters. Today, that tradition continues, with over $1.4 billion contributed last year alone. So, thanks to people like you, there's a lot to go around.
Pino Clean Simply wipes are our new way to disinfect. They kill 99.9% of germs with a plant-based disinfectant active, and they're made with 100% biodegradable fibres. New Pino Clean Simply.
Not till after dinner. Oh, did he? Right, yeah. All right, just fine.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
Yes, of course. Duty calls.
I need your keys and your motorcycle.
Snap, I'm on my way.
Oh, Terminator.
Who is it, honey? Everybody!
All the entertainment you love, all in one place. Yours.
When did every day start to feel like one of those days? It's why we developed Panadol Rapid. Absorbed 2 times faster than regular Panadol tablets, so you can keep pace with the day. The thing is, today's pace takes a toll. It's time to rethink how we look after ourselves. Because every positive change, no matter how small, can make all the difference. Together, let's rethink care.
These are step 1 underwear. They have these lacquer panels between the legs, which means no more chafing. Go to step1.live and buy the best underwear in the world. No, really. Better than baguette, better than cheese.
Hi, can I have a strong skim latte? Strong skim latte, please.
Sorry, could you repeat that, please? Sir, did you say strong skim latte?
Yeah, medium, please.
When only drive-through will do. We'll be here.
Small businesses already struggling to survive the pandemic have been dealt another blow. The state government has scaled back its list of what's essential, meaning thousands of traders will be forced to shut. And for more on this, we're joined by Peter Strong from the Council of Small Business Australia. Peter, it is a dark day for small traders.
Oh, it is a terrible time. Small traders are individuals with families. A lot of them employ other people who they really care about. So this is not going to be a good event for them. And we, our thoughts are out with them. And I know that their industry associations are working really hard to make sure they get looked after.
What sort of uncertainty does this new measures bring for the thousands of Victorian businesses? Are you happy with the information you were provided with today?
Well, look, there's still a lot more information to come. It was good to see there's a $10,000 cash injection for businesses in Melbourne, and it's all about cash flow. We know that. And so that's good to see that going there. But there's some businesses that won't help. There's businesses that still have to pay rent, even though nobody's coming in, even though they've got no other money, and the $10,000 won't go very far with rent.
Yeah.
So we'll see what else the government comes up with. But that's a good decision.
And for small businesses who can stay open, what's your response to paid pandemic leave? We heard about it earlier in the bulletin. Would you say that's necessary?
Well, look, if people are going to go to work with the virus, or they think they have it, and they say, I've got to go to work because I don't have sick leave, look, to me, that's not a great excuse to go and infect other people. But if we say to them, yes, you're going to get paid, you'll get 2 weeks off or 2 weeks paid leave, stay at home, then there's no excuse for them to leave the house or go anywhere. So, okay, let's do paid pandemic leave. We believe probably the states should pay for it, or at least 50% of it, because the states are the ones who need to be motivated to make sure this doesn't happen elsewhere.
Peter Strong, thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and best of luck over the next 6 weeks.
Thank you.
A terrifying brawl has broken out on board a plane as two passengers defied a mandatory mask rule. The melee erupted shortly after takeoff en route to the Spanish island of Ibiza. Other passengers helped flight crew to restrain the men. They were arrested on arrival. A quick-thinking truckie has protected people from a potential explosion. The driver jumped into his burning rig and drove it into an open area. Minutes later, the fuel tank erupted. The man was given a brand new truck as a reward for his bravery. Doctors have issued a warning to parents about the risk coronavirus poses to their children. That's coming up on 7 News. Also, thousands evacuated as wildfires ravage California. And splashdown success, how American astronauts completed an historic mission. Stay with us right here on 7.
The Aussie taking on the world's biggest stage, blindfolded. America's Got Talent, Tuesday on 7.
To keep everybody safe, at Aldi, some things have changed. Not everything, some things. Like there's these trolley wipes, this Q, that hand sanitizer, and those social distancing markers. Those we've always had, Noppers. Tasty. But these are new, sneeze guards. Yep, Aldi is even more different than it was before, but it's still good different.
Happy birthday!
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Help take care of your family with Medibank Life Insurance. Apply for cover up to $2.5 million, depending on age and income.
Complete your skincare regime with a little help from the inside with Nature's Way Beauty Collagen tablets from Chemist Warehouse. Formulated with Virasol collagen peptides and antioxidants, it works from within to help enhance collagen formation and improve skin firmness and elasticity by supporting the internal structure of the skin. Nature's Way Beauty Collagen tablets are only $14.99 at Chemist Warehouse. Complete your beauty regime with Australia's #1 collagen supplement. Live, look, feel well at Chemist Warehouse.
I juggle, but even when I juggle, I still suffer from chafing. Step 1. They've put these lycra panels between the legs. It glides when you walk. You can buy them online at step1.life. Step 1. Don't juggle these.
Even remotely, our home loan specialist can zoom into your home to help you save on your next loan.
A lot of people have sensitive teeth, but gum health is really important as well. If you've got sensitive teeth, you should be looking for something to help with the sensitivity, but you should also be thinking about, do I need to look after my gums? Using the new Sensodyne Sensitivity and Gum toothpaste not only deals with sensitivity, it also maintains gum health when used twice a day, every day. I think it's fantastic to have a dual action toothpaste. 2 benefits with the one toothpaste. What a great idea.
The 100% Aussie beef in Macca's Burgers comes from farms like David's in Queensland.
My family supplies 100% Aussie beef to McDonald's.
Thanks, David. Get into Macca's for hot, juicy, tasty burgers today.
And welcome back to the Sportsbet Elite Average Games. Last chance for the Aussies, bombing for gold.
They need to pull something big out of their budgies here, JB.
Oh, silly salmon! Into a horsey! Massive!
I've never seen one in the wild, but that is splash tag ridiculous.
Scores are in, and they've done it!
Showers of gold.
A make-it-look-easy moment from Sportsbet.
Doctors are warning Victorians of all ages to take COVID-19 seriously, with hundreds of younger people falling ill. For more insight on this, we're joined by Associate Professor Tom Connell from the Royal Children's Hospital. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor. You've seen firsthand that this virus does not discriminate.
That's right, Jackie. I think it's important for people to realise that COVID-19 can affect children, and since the start of the pandemic, approximately 1,500 children have been infected with coronavirus all over Australia. Most of these have been in the under 10 age group. But at the Royal Children's Hospital, since we've started screening for coronavirus for children presenting with symptoms, we've diagnosed about 165 children with coronavirus. the vast majority of which will recover at home and don't require admission to hospital. But when they do, they can require intensive care with much less frequency than the adult population.
So how many children do you have or have had at the Royal Children's Hospital that have needed to be placed into intensive care?
There are only 1 to 2 children so far who've needed intensive care. And overall, only a small number of children admitted to the hospital out of the 165. We've had about 10 patients admitted to the hospital in all.
It's still so worrying for every parent at home. What is your advice to those with kids at the moment? What should they be looking for and what should they do if they develop symptoms?
I think the important point to remember is that the symptoms of COVID-19 are very non-specific and overlap with a lot of typical viral infections that children of young age will contract during winter. So it's important, the most important message to take home is that if your children develop symptoms, they should get tested for coronavirus because we're uncertain at this point what contribution children make to the transmission of this virus.
And there has been some research recently that children can be such super spreaders of this virus without showing symptoms or many symptoms at all.
We know that children have high viral loads, particularly in the first few days after developing symptoms, and that they may well transmit the virus during that period, even when they're relatively asymptomatic. But we still just don't know that information yet, Jackie, and we're getting a lot of information from European studies, from lots of children's studies in Europe that may inform us further in that area.
It's such a daunting time for us all, though, isn't it? And especially for kids, how should we be talking to our children about coronavirus?
There's a lot of anxiety amongst the general population, and this will also extend to children. At our Royal Children's Hospital, we have a website that's dedicated that people can access, which shows some very nice resources and videos about how you can talk to your child about COVID-19 in age-appropriate language.
Thank you so much for your insight this afternoon, Professor.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Good to be with you.
2 NASA astronauts have arrived safely back on Earth after a landmark mission. The pair splashed down in a SpaceX capsule in the first US water landing for almost half a century. David Woywood has more.
Well, it's mission accomplished for the team behind the SpaceX Crew Dragon, which made its cosmic return to Earth, splashing down just off the coast of Florida. A heart-stopping moment and the first time in 45 years a capsule has made a water landing.
On behalf of the SpaceX and NASA teams, welcome back to planet Earth and thanks for flying SpaceX.
Colonel Doug Hurley and Bob Benken, dubbed the Space Dads, were picked up by nearby retrieval boats, stretchered out of the capsule by waiting teams. A quick thumbs up was all the reassurance the control centre needed.
And there we go, another thumbs up.
It was a 19-hour journey home from the International Space Station. That's where they'd spent the past 62 days, completing spacewalks and experiments. An incredible moment for the future of private space travel too. This was SpaceX's first manned return trip from space, of course owned by billionaire Elon Musk. It bodes well for future private missions.
What an amazing day. Today we really made history. We are entering a new era of human spaceflight.
There's something special about having that capability to launch and bring your own astronauts home.
They'll now be reunited with their mission control colleagues as well as their families. Everyone involved now breathing a major sigh of relief.
Raging flames have forced thousands of people from their homes in California. The huge blaze was fed by low humidity, thick vegetation and scorching temperatures. At least one property has been destroyed. Almost 8,000 people have been ordered to evacuate. And Prince William's hosted a garden party at the Queen's Sandringham House. Frontline workers, mental health ambassadors and diehard football fans were treated to an outdoor screening of the FA Cup final.
We thought, why not have the biggest conversation around mental health using football as that tool? And we've been really pleased with the response.
The event was part of the Prince's Heads Up mental health campaign. Melbourne is coming to terms with the logistics of a stage 4 lockdown as we try to understand how each change will affect our lives. We'll break down today's announcements next in 7 News. Also, is it worth it? We'll ask an expert whether these measures will really stop the spread. And Britain considers calling last drinks as COVID cases rise. We are back in just a couple of minutes.
It's more than just the moments.
There was a tremendous amount of expectation.
It's the untold secrets.
I broke my ankle.
A new world record. All the drama.
was crying. I'm like, I don't want to go out to compete.
Susie O'Neill goes into touch first.
I was just so afraid.
They have won the gold medal!
I know you will score the winning goal.
It's everything you never knew.
Can you believe it?
Sydney 2000 Uncovered, Tuesday on 7.
Get the Herald Sun home delivered during lockdown, plus full digital access for just $1 a day for the first 12 weeks. Call 1800 323 444 today.
Gentlemen, look at yourself. Now look at me. Now look at yourself. Down there. You're probably wearing cotton underwear. I'm wearing Step 1s. They're made from bamboo. They breathe. Are you happy? I'm happy. Go get them at step1.life. The best thing to happen to privates since Ryan.
At Domino's, we're doing everything we can to make your life easier and safer. That's why we've introduced Car Park Delivery. Just pull up, check in, and we'll deliver to your car with zero contact for no extra charge. Selected Domino's only.
If you've been injured at work, on the road, or in a public place, your normal life can suddenly stop. Check if you have a claim for compensation online in minutes, so you can start again. With Slater and Gordon, tomorrow starts today.
He knows he'll go walkies tonight, but he doesn't know what lubricated cartilage means. Dogs don't always know what's good for them. Lucky you do. Optimum Adult 7+ formula with glucosamine.
Unpolished beauty. It defines our country. And at Stratco, it's what we do. Custom crafting, roofing and cladding solutions for remarkable Australian homes. Colorbond Steel's stunning matte finish. Brought to life by Stratco How To.
We took CrimSafe, Australia's strongest security door and a competitor's door, and put them to the test. If it's not CrimSafe, it's not CrimSafe.
Sudden death now on the towel flick. Yes! The Aussies got him a beauty!
Australia has a new Mr. Whippy, chuck-a-flake in mind.
Another make-it-look-easy moment from Sportsbet.
This is 7's Afternoon News with Jacqueline Felgate.
Good afternoon again. Our top stories this Monday. Closed for business and historic shutdown of entire industries as Melbourne sacrifices livelihoods to save lives. Supermarkets remain open, but department stores top the list of businesses shutting their doors. Also, exercising our rights under stage 4, how Melbourne is coping with tougher restrictions at home. And the rush to get food back on the shelves amid another bout of panic buying. Daniel Andrews has announced an historic shutdown of businesses in a bid to stop the deadly spread of coronavirus. 13 more people died overnight and hundreds more infections were recorded.
Melbourne, once the most livable city in the world, now shutting down.
As heartbreaking as it is to close down places of employment, and whilst I never thought that I would be telling people not to go to work, that is what we have to do in order to stop the spread of this wildly infectious virus, this deadly virus.
Supermarkets, newsagents, service stations, bottle shops and pharmacies will stay open.
They will still be open and they will have, to the best of everyone's ability, they will have the fullest range that they possibly can have. There's no need for people to go and shop for things in bulk. That sense of panic is simply misplaced.
But from midnight on Wednesday, all non-essential retail will close.
But retail will look very different than it has ever looked.
No customers will be allowed inside Bunnings, but pickup will be available. Hairdressers will also have to close their doors.
I know that there will be substantial pain, but unless we have literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people at home and not going to work, then we will not pull this virus up.
And construction of homes will be impacted.
That sector can obviously stay open. It will be unlawful to have any more than 5 people on site at any one time. We are moving them to a pilot light phase. They're not being turned off completely, but they are dramatically reducing the number of people that they have working for them and their output over these next 6 weeks.
These new restrictions have been piled on top of a Melbourne curfew, forcing all metropolitan residents into their homes between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. The only reasons to leave are for work or caregiving. There's also shopping restrictions limiting the grocery run to a 5-kilometre radius. Exercise has been limited to once per day for 1 hour. Victoria will remain in stage 4 lockdown until September 13.
And the Premier has a message for thousands of Victorians who are about to be stripped of their jobs.
These are heartbreaking decisions, but there is simply no choice. The advice from our medical experts is that this is the only way to get these numbers under control, to drive them down low enough so that we can open up again. The alternative is a 6-month strategy, not a 6-week strategy, and then even at that point, significant doubt that that would work. We cannot continue to have 400 and 500 cases a day and so many people in hospital, so many people dying. We've got to drive these numbers down, and if we continue to have the sort of movement that across the community, across the economy, as is part of stage 3, if we don't move to the further restrictions I've announced today, then we simply won't drive those numbers down.
Melbourne stage 4 restrictions have been in place for almost 24 hours in a bid to slow down the hundreds of new coronavirus infections each day. Infectious diseases physician Peter Collignon from the Australian National University joins us now. Professor, Melburnians are making a huge sacrifice here. So the big question is, will these measures actually work?
Well, it should work, because the whole idea is to stop transmission from people to people. And the more you limit people's contact with others, the more you should be able to get that R number, the reproduction number, below 1. Now, equally, however, stage 3 should have had an effect. So the other important thing is to particularly make sure that people who've got infection are home and don't communicate with anybody else, because so far, at least what I've seen, is a quarter of them weren't at home when they should be. So that's an essential feature also that has to come under control. So
how do you think an 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew will help slow the spread?
Well, the point of that is to, again, limit the ability of people to interact with others, particularly and not in their own household and on public transport, you name it. So that should have an effect, because it limits how many people contact other people and therefore decreases the chance of transmission from one person to another person.
And how long do you think it will be before we see a decline in these positive tests?
Well, I think we can't be absolute about that, but if you put any intervention in place, it takes at least 5 days to see an effect, because that's the average incubation period. And usually it's sort of 10 days to 14 days. So it may be a while, a couple of weeks before we see an effect. But it'd be surprising if we didn't see not only flattening of the numbers, which we've sort of got now, but they're going down. With these fairly draconian measures, one would be very surprised if we didn't see a drop, providing we make sure that people who are infected stay at home and don't move around anywhere in the community and don't spread it to others.
What are your thoughts on the numbers that we're seeing at the moment, those numbers that are consistently around 300, 400, 500 every day? Would you have expected to see those reduced by now?
Well, I would have thought with the restrictions over the last few weeks, yes. But a lot of this is with essential workers, everything from cleaners to security guards to nurses and doctors. And a lot of this transmission is occurring probably in the workplace, where people are closer together than they should be, not wearing personal protective equipment, masks, face shields, etc. And to some extent within the home. So it is very important, if anybody is unwell, even in their own home, they try and keep their distance as much as possible for their own other family members, including, if they can, sleeping in another bedroom, for instance, wearing a mask even in your own home. All that makes a difference to transmission to those who are close to you, and particularly when they're inside with you.
Professor, thank you so much for your insight this afternoon.
Thank you.
COVID cases are on the rise again in Britain, prompting fears of a dreaded second wave. The government is considering taking early action, including shutting down pubs again. Hugh Whitfield reports.
As the number of Britons testing positive to coronavirus once again rises, the government has been wargaming what measures could be put in place. Scientists advising Boris Johnson have already said there may need to be trade-offs. For every freedom allowed, one may be taken away. One option could see pubs closed to allow schools to reopen when students return from summer holidays in September.
If it happened again, it would be hard to take, and it would be very difficult to get over this.
The government is also said to be considering asking 2.2 million people over the age of 50 to stay at home to protect them.
We need to take decisive action. That's what the public expects.
In Russia, the Kremlin allowed Moscow's delayed half marathon to go ahead, saying it was a celebration of Russia's success against coronavirus. Competitors wore masks on the starting line, but when the gun went off and the race began, they were allowed to remove them. More than 5,000 Russians a day are still testing positive. More than 14,000 have died.
It is time for sport now with Sean Selby. And Sean, it's been moving day for a couple of big AFL clubs.
Yes, Jack, the Cats and the Magpies have flown from Perth to Queensland, and coming up we'll hear from Pies president Eddie Maguire, who's weighed into Nathan Buckley's tennis breach. And not even a flat tyre can stop Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone.
Captain Strand, we want you to come down to Texas to build an entire station from scratch.
Okay, but I choose the firefighters.
Have you got what it takes?
This crew can't just be good. They got to be the best.
Rob Lowe.
Let's show them what we got.
And Liv Tyler.
In Texas, you do what I say, Captain.
The new action thrill ride. 911 Lone Star. Tonight, 8:30 on 7.
SodaStream makes water exciting. A quick push, and in seconds, plain boring water is sparkling. So make the most out of staying at home. Checkmate, and enjoy sparkling water whenever you want. SodaStream, better bubbles your way.
Do I smell savings? Yes, it's that family shop you got for 31% less by switching to these Aldi brands. Kids, the savings are ready. Oh, that's me done. I'll leave you to it. Happy One Big Happy Family Day. Just one of 365 days to save at Aldi. Good, different.
This year, Swinburne University's Open Day is switching up the scenery with a trip to Swintopia, our immersive virtual campus experience. Jump in 12 August.
How well your kitchen performs depends what's under the hood. Unlike range hoods with mesh filters, Whisper's S-Flow baffle filtration system means grease doesn't clog, maximising extraction, minimising noise. Proudly Australian Whisper. Available in-store and online.
So, who's the best chaser in your home? It's time to find out with the Chase Australia board game. Now you can play anytime and see if you can win. The chase is on. In stores now.
Make your house feel like home with Beacon's Makeover Sale. Get 30% off your second item when you mix and match from our entire range of lights and fans. That's a saving of 30% on your second item. Sale ends next Sunday.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down a road and back again. Your heart is true.
Here at Lilydale, we work hard to raise Australia's favourite free-range chicken. It's not easy, but it sure is worth it. Lilydale.
Roger, roll over. Do it for a schmackos. Rogie boy.
Making sure the COVID cash crunch doesn't leave you short. 5 steps you can actually stick to and save on Sunrise tomorrow.
Hello again. In breaking news, the AFL has been thrown another fixture curveball. Chief Football reporter Mark Stevens is across all the developments. Steve-O, another blow for the AFL.
That's right, Sean. A short time ago, another twist in Tasmania. The Premier Peter Gutwin has declared no AFL at all in August. So the borders are shut. August 9 already moved North versus Melbourne to Adelaide. And now August 15 game, North and Brisbane will be moved. And as you can see there, the Magpies are on the move as well. They're in the air at the moment. They're on the way to the Sunshine Coast. And Nathan Buckley apologised last night for that tennis mishap. And the President, Eddie Maguire, he's weighed into it. The individuals, he say, involved should pay the fine.
The AFL came out last week and said to us that they were going to fine the clubs.
Well, it's not the club's fault in these situations. You can only tell people as much as you possibly can. And from that moment on, it becomes the person's personal responsibility.
Now, a lot happening with these hubs, of course. The Concussions, Trent and Brooke were involved in a controversy. They have to pay $20,000 themselves after an Instagram post and a very expensive trip to a day spa. Let's have a listen to the coach, Damien Harwick, on just how the fallout with the Concussions.
Oh, look, I'm not going to lie, it's been tough on them, but you know, as Trent and Brooke do, they accept accountability and responsibility. They admit it, they're at fault, but yeah, it's been tough on them. The situation is we live and learn. Everyone's up here trying to do the right thing, but the reality is mistakes are going to be made.
Now, this one's hot off the press as well. The man who actually put the Instagram post out there, Mitch Cleary, who works for AFL Media. A lot of talk about him. He was stood down. He's now back at work, business as usual, doing his usual show. So the AFL have reinstated Mitch Cleary. He's back at work today, Sean.
Great news for Mitch. Thanks, Steve-O. Well, St Kilda coach Brett Ratton says he's spoken to star defender Jake Carlisle after he was fined by the AFL's match review officer for targeting Swan Dane Rampy's sore hand.
Something the AFL aren't overly fond of.
Yeah, I had a chat to Jake. It's not a look that is good for the game. That was something that happened 10 and 15 years ago in the game. I think we've moved well past that. So he understands, what he did.
Saints star midfielder Seb Ross remains touch and go to face the Suns on Thursday night. Lewis Hamilton has become the first Formula One driver to win his home race 7 times with an incredible victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Despite suffering a tyre puncture on the final lap, the Mercedes driver limped home to beat Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc.
Oh my God, I was just praying to try and get it round, not be too slow. I nearly didn't get round the last 2 corners, but thank God we did.
Australia's Daniel Ricciardo finished 4th. Aussie Jason Day has found form just before the first major of the year. The PGA Championship starts in San Francisco on Friday.
There's something that man knows how to do.
Day finished tied for 6th at the World Golf Championship event in Memphis at 9 under. 27-year-old American Justin Thomas claimed his 13th PGA title by 3 shots to become world number 1 for the second time. And Aussie Paddy Mills was back for the Spurs in the NBA reboot today.
3-point burst did good for Paddy Mills.
Mills shot 10 points in a 108-106 win over Memphis. The win keeps San Antonio in the race for a 23rd straight playoffs appearance. Jack, that's all for sport. We'll have plenty more footy coming up at 6.
I'll see you then. Thank you very much, Sean. It seems concussion can do more than prevent sports people returning to the field. It may also prevent them from getting a good night's sleep. Elise Baker explains.
Knocks to the head are common in many contact sports, but Adelaide researchers think sleep could be the key to improving recovery.
20-year-old Max Borden was recently concussed while playing A-grade footy and says it didn't just leave him dazed and confused, but also struggling to sleep. He's now taking part in a world-first study where researchers are exploring the impact of concussion on sleep. They're recruiting players like Max and monitoring them at bedtime within 7 days of receiving the injury. They're followed up 6 weeks later to help determine the extent of concussion-related sleep disturbances. The ultimate aim of the study is to develop strategies to improve sleep, to potentially improve recovery from a concussion.
When you sleep better in general, you just you feel better and you perform better anyway. So we think it'll be very helpful.
The more they can do to treat concussion, then the more safer it is for all the participants involved.
The study, made possible thanks to a grant from Flinders Foundation, is expected to run until the end of next year.
Thanks for being with us here on 7 News this Monday. Our top stories are next, plus the very latest weather.
Whatever happens, I want to be with you.
She's gone out with one guy while she's into his brother.
It's only a matter of time before Ari works it out.
Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about your little crush.
Is there something going on between you two?
No.
Do you want there to be?
A body is about to surface as a ghost from the past arrives.
You're the one that got us in this mess.
I will do whatever it takes to protect this family.
An unmissable week of Home and Away, weeknights on 7.
Guess who's on the telly?
Mummy!
Hi, Mummy.
Hi, sweetheart.
Proudly fueling Australian hockey fans, big and small. Sultana Brand. Full-on days start with full-on fibre.
Get your Woolies worth with great weekly specials like 40% off oral care. That's 40% off. This week only. Exclusions apply.
That's why I pick Woolies.
Don't let persistent joint and back pain stop you there. You've got Advil 12 Hour for fast and long-lasting relief of persistent pain for up to 12 hours with just one tablet. So you can do more for longer. Advil 12 Hour.
Harvey Norman is here to help. Our spacious stores are still open, with our team practicing social distancing to keep us all safe. So if you need it now, you can get it at Harvey Norman. Essential tech to keep working, a new appliance, or a bigger sofa or better mattress to make staying home more comfortable. Shop safely in store or shop online with click and collect and home delivery available. We're here to help. In store, online, or over the phone. Harvey Norman stores are open.
Go! 1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
Everyone knows Volkswagen drivers expect a little more.
Volkswagen.
These undies make you chafe. And these, as well as these. Chafing is horrible. These are Step Ones, the inventors of no chafe underwear. They've got these lycra panels between the legs, which means no more chafing. You buy them at step1.life and never chafe again.
We're late.
I need coffee.
Hungry Jack's $2 medium coffee is all about great taste and getting it exactly when you need it most. Try our new, richer, better tasting $2 medium coffee all day at Hungry Jack's.
What's a bartender, a banker and a lifeguard got in common? One giant problem.
Everyone who comes on gets cooked.
But this might just be the right combination.
Stop the clock. A pass.
To leave Goliath to pull out his hair.
Stop the clock.
On You The Chase. Weekdays at 5 on 7.
Live from Melbourne, you're watching 7's Afternoon News. This is a live look at the city from high above Docklands, and Jane Bunn is here in just a couple of minutes. Right now, though, Mike Amor is working on tonight's edition of 7 News at 6. And Mike, the Premier's just announced more details about what the Stage 4 lockdown is going to look like.
Jackie, 250,000 workers have been sent home for the next 6 weeks. A very sad day as retail and manufacturing takes a hammering. Bunnings will only be open for click and collect and to tradies. The Premier says households should not be having cleaners or gardeners over.
There'll be no cleaners going to your house, there'll be no one mowing your lawns. There'll be no one providing anything other than emergency support. So if you need a plumber because a pipe has burst, then yes, you can have that plumber come and do that work. But it's not the time to be painting your house, it's not the time to be having completely unnecessary tradespeople right at this time.
Also tonight, Jackie, the fears about meat supplies and all childcare centres are closed except to essential workers. We'll take a look at what that means, Jack.
I'll see you then. Thank you, Mike. Let's take a quick look now at Melbourne's roads.
Good afternoon, I'm Jess in the You First Services traffic chopper. At the moment, just over Keysborough, having a look at a collision. This is on Cheltenham Road eastbound, just after the Eastlink overpass. We have lane restrictions in place and emergency services on scene. Delays on the approach, so just be extra mindful of that if you are coming out this way tonight. You First Disability Services supports clients around Australia to connect with quality local support workers they know and trust. For more information, head to youfirstservices.com.au.
Time for an update on the weather with Jane Bunn. Hello, Jane. You've got news on a significant cold break.
I do indeed, Jack. Now, August has been pretty kind to us so far. We've had warmer temperatures and sunshine, but that all ends tonight. We reached 16 today and 18 yesterday, but temperatures are about to plummet. The radar shows the start of this approaching. Showers are slowly pushing northwards and should cross Melbourne tonight. When they arrive, the temperature drops. Those showers have been at at the coast for much of the day. It's been a very slow progression northwards so far. Cloud is building out ahead of that as we look southwards to see what's coming. A strong cold front driven by a deep low that'll affect us for the next 2 days. This type of path brings the coldest air that we see. Then we look over at the west, a low that's over there that is set to arrive here at the end of the week. The burst of showers will pick up momentum and surge northwards, followed by lots of showers over the south and ranges tomorrow and on Wednesday. You'll notice just how many snowflakes are on this map, as it is a significant cold outbreak. Gusty winds and rumbles of thunder. Snow goes as low as 300 metres above sea level. That is Melbourne's highest suburbs. And the rest have wintry hail, those tiny balls of ice. We take a break on Thursday, but then we look northwards as there's the potential for a big rain system from a wandering low. We'll have more on both of these weather systems in the news at 6. Around the nation tomorrow, Hobart is at top there of just 8 degrees. Tasmania has snow close to sea level, but Adelaide not in the path of this one, and Sydney's a warm 22 but windy. To Victoria, cold to very cold with gusty southwesterly winds. Widespread showers over the south and east, rumbles of thunder and wintry hail, those balls of ice. Snow lowers during the day. It is coldest in the afternoon and evening and should hit Ballarat. In Melbourne, just 11 degrees and feeling even colder. From late morning, I'd expect lots of gusty, wintry showers. And there is the chance of snow in those higher suburbs. That's later on in the day, Jack.
Sums up 2020, doesn't it? Thank you, Jane. And that's all from Melbourne's afternoon news. Thank you for joining us. At 6, Mike Amor has a comprehensive list of which businesses will remain open and which will be forced to close under stage 4 restrictions. For now, though, from the 7 News team, take care.